Hello everybody, Baltmatrix here, and today we're taking a look at Godly Beast S4 Combiner. I picked this whole setup over at Sirtoys.com. Now, there are a couple of different Godly Beast combiners. I've done S1 and S2 already, and they were bad. We'll just call them bad. S3 I haven't picked up yet. I haven't actually been able to find a decent version of the deluxe figures. And then we have S4, and all 6 of them are here. So we've got our typical Power Ranger lineup: red, blue, yellow, green, pink, and white. Each one of these has 3 different modes: a vehicle mode, an animal mode, and then they all combine into one giant robot. So let's go ahead and take a look at them individually, and then we'll do the combination for all of them. I'm assuming that red is the team leader, and it starts out in this cool tank, and it looks kind of like a combination between a Maser tank and a World War II tank. It's very neat. I like it. I really do. I think it's just a neat little tank. It's got elevation, or up and down movement, and the turret can spin 360 degrees. Size-wise, the tank is roughly the same size as Studio Series Bumblebee, or World War II Studio Series Bumblebee. It is just a smidge bigger, though. Transformation for this tank is pretty easy to start off with. Turn the turret 180 degrees, flip up the lion head, and then push the turret back along the body. Then take the front treads and flip them around 180 degrees, and flip out the feet. And there are these little tiny pieces of plastic on the back treads and the front treads that prevent you from moving the treads too far forward when transforming into tank mode. And then we come to the back of the tank and flip down the feet, or we'll flip out the feet first, then turn the entire rear of the tank around 180 degrees, and then we can flip the feet out. It's actually a little bit harder to do than you might think, because they're on some pretty tight ratchets. And there we go. That is pretty much the tank mode. Now, you can futz with it a little bit and extend the legs a little bit more. You can do that, or you could keep them nice and up against the body. But whatever you want to do, that's fine. I think this works. I think this little beast mode works incredibly well. It is based off of a Chinese mythological beast. I don't know the name of it while I'm recording. It'll probably appear here in the subtitles, and I'll do that for each one of them. This works pretty well. Now, size-wise, it's a little bit smaller than a Deluxe Class Studio Series Bumblebee figure. Or we can say it's about the same size as a Titans Returns or Power of the Prime Legends Class. Which one is that? Oh, who cares? It's the bird. So, yeah, about the same size as those two. Moving up to blue next. I'm assuming we're going in Power Ranger color order here. We have a submarine. A really thick submarine. These back pieces are supposed to collapse and connect, but they really don't. Yeah, so, yeah, we got a submarine. It's actually pretty cool. Transformation for the submarine, though, is a bit bonkers. So you end up having to split the sub in half and pull the front of the sub off, turn it around 180 degrees, and then flip it 180 degrees, and then plug it back together. And yeah, the plastic quality isn't the greatest. Then recombine them. Flip up the head for the peacock mode. Then flip out the wings here, which are VTOL unit wings. And then fold out the bird feet. Now, I will be the first to tell you that this is just dumb. It's supposed to be a peacock, but man, is it stupid. I mean, I love it, but it's real dumb. It's really, really dumb. And yeah, it's a submarine that turns into a giant blue peacock. Oh boy. Next up, we've got Pink's Space Fighter Jet. That I really, really, really like the look of the jet. Man, the jet is just so sweet looking. I think you pretty much can guess what this is going to transform into. Flip the wings forward, come underneath, flip up the beast head, flip out the beast feet or talons. Whoop. The feet I've noticed on a lot of the bird ones have a tendency to pop off real easily, but they go right back on. Then come to the front of the plane mode and flip out the wings. Turn those wings around, that'll look weird otherwise. Fold out the wing bits, and then flip out the tail wing. And you have a phoenix. A bright, violety pink phoenix with gold trim. This works really well, actually. I think this is actually a really, really decent beast mode for a plane. I acknowledge that it's a little silly. I mean, you've got the fuselage of a jet sticking off the bird's butt. However, I'm okay with that. I think this works incredibly well. Number 3 is the Green Helicopter, otherwise known as Green Dragon, and it's okay as a helicopter. It's not bad. Doesn't really stay together all that well because the front of the helicopter moves pretty freely, and then the back of the helicopter twists a bit or flips up a bit too much. But it's okay. The rotors do spin, but not very freely, and they have a tendency to just clump up very easily. Nothing's locking them in place, unfortunately. Oh well. Still, it's a pretty decent look. Now, transformation-wise, it's actually pretty easy. Take the entire top of the chopper, flip it 180 degrees, and then fold out the dragon's head from the back of the chopper. Fold up the chopper blades like that. Come to the middle section of the chopper and fold down the dragon legs. Close the side wings of the chopper. Come to the back and flip out the other set of dragon claws. And then flip out the tail rotor to form the tail of the dragon. And there we go. So dragon head is pretty cool. Unfortunately, the mouth doesn't open. But the overall aesthetic of the dragon works pretty darn well. I wish you could hold or hide the rotors a little bit better. Not the biggest deal in the world. Though, helicopter transforming into a dragon, that's actually pretty cool. I legitimately think that's pretty darn cool. The detailing is good. You can actually get some decent poses out of it because the legs are pretty posable. They've got multiple points of articulation, and then the butt has a bit of articulation back there as well. So, yeah, we can just extend these legs out a little bit and give it a little bit more fearsome look. Yeah, I think that works really well. In the number 5 position, we've got Yellow Jet, which it's a pretty nifty little jet that obviously has horse legs attached to it in different spots. I think this is actually a pretty darn good jet mode. This little shield in the front does come off, and it's still a pretty cool jet. Transformation is actually pretty easy. Start off with, first fold down the front set of wings by the front of the cockpit. Fold them down all the way. Then flip out the wings or the feet in the back and fold them down like so. Then come to the front, flip it up, open up the front, and just flip up the head, closing the neck like that, and flip up the wings, and finally take that shield that we were talking about earlier, and these pegs in the front will peg into the bottom of the shield, and we get a kitten. At least I think this is a kitten. Might be something else. You could correct me in the comments if you know. It's a Thunder Horse. Finally, we have what I can only assume is the white spaceship. So it looks like there are 2 cockpits on what look to be the back, and of course this giant freaking sword, but there are guns at the front and wheels down here, so I have no idea where the front of this thing is. Transformation into its unicorn mode is incredibly simple. Come to the horn in the front, flip up the head, flip up the face, come to the wheels underneath, and flip them out to form the legs. Whoops, and that one always pops off. It always does. It's just because I think I'm putting too much force into it and the joint can't handle it. And getting it back in is problematic sometimes, especially when I'm on camera. Now that we've got that front hoof back in, reach out and pull out the back hooves or legs. And then according to the directions, you're supposed to take the giant sword, stick it off his butt, and cock it up like that. And here we have a unicorn with giant rocket launchers and on its front and a giant sword tail sticking off his arse. Oh, what will they think of next? All right, and these are the S.F.R. godly beasts. I think I said called them guardian beasts earlier. Whoops. Anyway, so we have all 6 of them. White, yellow, blue, red, pink, and green. Let's go ahead and combine them into one giant robot. So we're going to start with red, and first thing we're going to do is kind of return it into tank mode. And while we do that, we will first return the front of the figure into tank mode, open up this panel underneath the turret, and flip out a big old fist. And then just simply return the toy to tank mode, turn it around, fold down the connector, and flip down the legs like that, and that's it. The left arm is ready to go. We're roughly going to do the same thing for the dragon. Fold the dragon head up, return the rotors to their spot, come underneath the rotors, and flip out the giant robot fist. Then come to the back with the tail, detach the tail, and kind of leave it in its tail form, and then flip out this handle, put the handle off to the side. Then close up the legs in the back, come down, flip down the connector port, and then just kind of fold the dragon claws up and out of the way the best I can. So that way we have the right arm. And the rotors, I haven't really figured out a great way to hide them. Sometimes the directions have them up like this. In other places it has them down. It's not really consistent. And it's not consistent about where to put these feet either, which I would really kill for them to be able to fold up better like that. But they can't. Oh well. I mean, I could do this, but then it gets in the way. So, yeah. Now we'll do the peacock for the legs and crotch. So first fold up all this. Then we have to break these submarine parts apart and pull off the legs. This whole section will fold up, and I really haven't figured out a good way to store the peacock head. You'll see why in a little bit. So this will form the crotch, and then the legs will come out, open up, slide all the way up. There's a little peg hole there. Close in on those pegs. Then the feet will rotate down into place. And then the wings will detach, flip around, and peg in right out there. Right about there. So we have one leg done. Now for the other leg. So it was originally like this on the figure. Open it up, slide all the way out, peg into place, grab the foot, and ratchet it down. And if you haven't guessed already, the ratchets on this figure are way stronger than any of the other Godly Beast figures that I've owned so far. Stand it up, and then attach to the crotch piece, like so. And yeah, there's not a lot of leeway in there. There's a lot of junk sitting in between those legs, which I wish there was a way I could get them to, just rest a little bit better, but oh well. Now for size comparison, this isn't the rest of the figure. This is just, this entire leg structure is bigger than a current Power of the Primes, or I'm sorry, Titans Returns Deluxe Class Transformer. And now for yellow, which will form the upper torso. First we grab the front cockpit, pull it out away from the figure and then fold it straight down. The back part of the figure has this little piece of plastic that flips down. Then this entire section will unpeg, the rear of the figure will unpeg and fold up underneath the plane. Meanwhile, you should take the rear wings and fold them so that the legs of the horse mode are up underneath as well. And then this little piece of plastic right here is supposed to peg in to this little H peg slot right there. And it also pegs in underneath as well. This is actually pretty hard to do because a lot of the plastic bits just don't want to cooperate. Then we come to the back, open up the back where the rear thruster is, and flip out the giant robot head. Close that up. And then put the tail down and out of the way as best you can. And you see how, well, hold on. Let me see if I could get a better light on that. You see how this is angled funny? That really worries me about the longevity of this, but there's really nothing I could do about it right now. Now, we're not done yet. The front of the mode here, you want to take the wings and the legs and just flip them up onto the other side of the head, kind of fold the wings down. You can fold them up if you want. And then the main wings fold up like this. And then the chest piece comes in and snaps on to the sides of the cockpit right there. Getting that snapped into place is actually not that easy, even though it is bending up a little bit. And there's, one last thing, come to the front of the nose cone and split it and fold it up. And then as soon as you touch spots on here, it just has a tendency to come apart. There we go. There we go. Opening these sections up on the side do help quite a bit. There we go. All right. Now we can drop that onto the Peacock. Like that. We can now attach the arms. We've got the little lion on the side, on the left, and the dragon on the right. Like that. And they all go in pretty well. Now, the base figure is a bit on the fiddly side, simply because of the legs. The legs aren't the strongest things in the world, as you can see, and it does have a tendency to do the ab thrust crotch thing forward. You also run into the problem of the Peacock's head. Nowhere on the directions does it say where it's supposed to rest, so I kind of just rest it like this, but that might get in the way of the last two, which are white and pink. Pink's transformation for the combined mode is by far my least favorite because it's pretty much just turning it back into a phoenix, sort of. So take the side wings, flip them around, fold up this piece, which is behind the phoenix head, flip up the claws, and then open up the wings. And this is pretty much it. This is going to go on the back of the combined mode. Now you might be wondering, how in the world is that going to work? Well, that's where the white guy comes in. First, remove the sword. Then kind of just come to the sides and unpeg the sides and take the entire unicorn head and slide it away. And then these side pieces split off, fold up, and then they will connect to the shoulder pads on our giant robot. Meanwhile, the unicorn head, which remains folded down like this, will slide onto this connector piece. And then you want to make sure you slide it all the way back. And then this will slide into the back of our combined mode. And yeah, it looks as silly as you might think it does. The final combined mode actually looks really nifty. I like it quite a bit. There are some issues, but overall I think it works really well, and it holds together way better than any of the other Godly Beast combiners. Does it look silly? Yeah, it kind of does. But I like it. I still like it quite a bit. I love the giant sword. I love that the base set comes with its own sword. It all works incredibly well together. Yes, there are some fiddly bits. The backpack is stupid. I mean, it's practically got a plane hanging off of its back. And the unicorn integration is really nothing more than some shoulder pads and a unicorn sticking off the back. Just odd. Odd design choices. Cool, but odd. The design of the head sculpt is on the minimal side. I like the overall look of it, though, but red, yellow, with silver face and blue eyes, it's not a lot of detail going on there. There is a lot of texture going on with the rest of the combined mode, though, which is really, really cool. It's it's more than kind of. It's very refreshing, especially for somebody who's been dealing with giant freaking robots for as long as I have. Posability-wise, the figure is rather limited. There aren't any elbow joints, but you do get a little bit of ratchets going on in the shoulders and some side to side. Again, no elbows. Hips are, well, the weakest point of the figure. Let me see. Yeah, there are ratchets there, but they're so squeaky and loud, and the joints just below the knees, which do bend, are really way too loose. Like this swivel here, much too loose. Feet are nice and tight. So the biggest problem with this figure is just getting it to stand in a cool pose. That's my biggest complaint about it. Otherwise, it's really nifty. Again, I love the fact that the sword is just gigantic. It's like a Buster sword for Final Fantasy VII. The overall aesthetic of the combined mode is good, and it's my favorite Godly Beast combiner that I've ever gotten a hold of. So should you, the discerning giant robot fan, pick this set up? Yeah, I would give it a shot. It's pretty darn cheap over at sirtoys.com. The plastic is good. The only complaint I have is the peacock. Otherwise, it's a perfectly good set. Height-wise, fully combined, you're looking at the same height as an MP10 Prime, so you're getting a lot of value for your money. You've got 6 different individual robots and vehicle modes. One of them is very questionable, but overall, I think it's a good set. I just haven't talked about the sword. I really like the sword. You could kind of make it a gun if you want. It's just big, it's beefy. This thing is heavy. I mean, this thing weighs about the same weight as some Transformers that I have. This sword is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Overall, it's an excellent set. Totally worth picking up. If you folks really do want to pick it up, head down to the description in this video to check out the link there. That'll get you right to it. Let me know what you think of the figures down in the comments. As always, I'm Baltmatrix, asking you to please be sure to hit that like and subscribe buttons. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.